Welcome back to LJG Sports. Today we're going to go through 5 Houston Texans who are in make it or break it seasons this coming season. The Texans have a couple of players on this list who have either created big expectations or came in the league with expectations and haven't lived up to them. Maybe they've struggled to find a roster spot. Maybe they've dealt with injuries. This year, 2025, is the year for these players to make it or break it. Basically, if they don't make it this year, if they don't find a role on this Houston Texans team, then they'll probably be either traded, let go, whatever. This is their season to make something happen. So we're going to go through it. This is not my list. This is a list I found on HoustonPress.com. I agree with basically all these takes, though, maybe except one. So the first one is Dameon Pierce. He's under contract through 2025, so this is a contract year for him. Pierce had a great rookie season, and then ever since then, he's just really struggled to find a place on this roster. Even when we had Devin Singletary, he was back up to him. Ever since really Bobby Slowick came in and implemented this zone running scheme, zone blocking scheme, he's really struggled to work in this scheme. And, last year we were hoping that another year of it, another full offseason practicing with this scheme, he would get better. It seemed to get worse. Granted, we had Joe Mixon running the ball, but this year we have Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb running the ball. So I really doubt that Dameon Pierce will find quality time on this team. I think last year he was mainly our return guy. And about half of his stats for the whole year came in the last game of the season when we already had a playoff spot locked up. So for Pierce, sadly, he has potential. I hope in some way that he does go to another team next year, just so he has the chance to prove himself on another team with a better fit, because I really don't think he's going to find any place on this roster next year and going forward. So he's the first guy on this list. Juice Scruggs is another one under contract through 2026. We drafted him 2022, I believe. Same year as CJ and Will Anderson. And he was clearly drafted to be our future center, because at the time we had the offensive line set. It was really just center that we needed to replace. And I believe it was Justin Britt that just retired, and so we were really looking for a center to solidify this offensive line. And ever since then, the center position and honestly just the whole interior of the Texans offensive line has not been good. It's been abysmal. Even when we drafted him and expected him to play at center, he was surpassed on the depth chart by 6th-round pick Jared Patterson. And so Scruggs has struggled to find a spot on this roster. I believe there was a report that came out through OTAs that through the Texans, OTAs, and it's just OTAs, of course, so a lot can change. But the 5 guys who were getting the first team reps, I believe Juice Scruggs was on that list as either right guard or center. Let me know down in the comment section below if there's any Texan fans that know if he actually wasn't. It was him or Jared Patterson, but I'm pretty sure it was Juice Scruggs. So we'll see if Juice Scruggs can find a place on this roster. I would like to think that he will. He was a 2nd-round pick. We did pick pretty high for him. I think we might have traded up for him. So I think he has potential. I think the whole offensive line for the Texans has been a joke. So hopefully this revamped offensive line, new offensive coordinator, will just help everyone on the offensive line, including Juice Scruggs. And like I said, we still have him for 2 more years. So hopefully he can figure it out, find a spot either at right guard or center. Next player is Dalton Schultz, and this is one that I've talked about quite a bit. He came in on a 1-year deal, kind of a prove-it deal with the Texans, and he actually played really well, and for that he got a 3-year, $36 million contract. And last year, the first year of this new contract, he did not play as well. Granted, the whole offense as a whole was not as good at all. Pass protection was bad, run game was very reliant on Joe Mixon, and so he did not have as great of a year as his first year with the Texans. There are guys like Cade Stover that we have on this roster, Brevin Jordan, who, if they show out and maybe get some more reps next year, the Texans will be like, okay, we can keep these guys for cheaper, younger, and try to trade Dalton Schultz. But with this new offensive coordinator, Nick Caley, with a background in coaching tight ends, maybe he can reestablish Schultz as a solid contributor. We'll see, though. I think Dalton Schultz definitely is under scrutiny this next year and how he needs to perform. Because in his first year with the Texans, when C.J. Stroud was a rookie, he was kind of like that safety net guy for C.J. Stroud, which is really important. And last year, like I said, the whole offense was not as good. And he, along with the whole offense, struggled to produce. So we'll see what Dalton Schultz does next year. Next player up is Christian Harris. And sadly, because I really like Christian Harris, but last year it was when he missed 14 weeks with a weird soft tissue injury, I believe. And then once he got back, he was kind of an afterthought. Really didn't get much playing time with Henry Toro and Aziz Al-Shaair taking most of the reps. He just never really found his footing back on this team, which is weird because just a year ago in the playoffs, if we remember, he had a great game against the Browns, anchoring that linebacker spot, getting the pick six, flying everywhere, hitting hard. I really like Christian Harris, and this is a contract year for Christian Harris, so hopefully he can regain his status. But he needs to stay healthy, and he just needs to be consistent to get back on this team. And lastly, which I believe everyone's said now that the Texans should get rid of, trade, whatever, along with Dameon Pierce, is John Mechie. This is a contract year for him. With John Mechie, he came into the league. We drafted him, I believe, in round 2. He had an injury during the draft, so that's why his draft stock fell a little. He may have been a first-round pick if it was not for the injury, but Texans drafted him in round 2, and then he was getting, I think he was making time well on that injury, healing up, and then he had, obviously, cancer, and thankfully, by the grace of God, obviously, he made it through it. And then after the cancer treatment, it's a great story, obviously. Coming off the injury, coming off of the cancer treatment, making it back to the NFL. But he just has not had the time to mesh with CJ, to mesh with this offense because of those things. And he just really hasn't shown what he has shown at Alabama. And I think, obviously, it's not fair to him because he was injured and then he had cancer. But the fact is, we drafted 2 wide receivers. We have already Nico Collins. We signed Christian Kirk. It's going to be hard for John Mechie to find a spot on this roster. I will say there is a chance because I feel like it's Nico Collins is number 1. Christian Kirk, I believe, will be the number 2 wide receiver because of his experience as a veteran. And then I think the 3rd spot will go to Jaden Higgins because he seems to be impressing through OTAs. He's the first wide receiver we drafted. Jalen Noel, maybe, but I don't think he's as solidified as Jaden Higgins. So that leaves John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Noel to really make a spot on this roster for that 4th wide receiver spot. And yes, you can still have wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 6, but it's really the 4 guys that are going to get more reps, most of the reps. And so you really hope John Mechie is one of those 4 wide receivers to come out on top. I hope he does well. I hope he finds a place on this roster. I hope, even if he underperforms next year, I hope we sign him again to just be a depth piece because I really like John Mechie. I really like his story, and I do think he can get back to his potential. He just needs more time to get acclimated to the NFL and football as a whole because he was out of it for so long, and to this Texans offense. So I really hope John Mechie does well. I hope all these guys do well next year, obviously. I'm most skeptical about Dameon Pierce because of the crowded running back room, and probably John Mechie also because we just have so many guys that can perform. But yeah, that's the list. I feel like I said, I found it on HoustonPress.com. I thought it was a pretty good list. Let me know down below if there's any other players you think the Texans who have a make or break season this upcoming season. Let me know what you agree with, disagree with my take on it, with the article, Let me know that in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys.